Letters 151 through 175. 151. The truth lies within you, within everybody. Without that truth, we could not live for a second. Just as the sun is in the sky, but its rays illuminate the earth, similarly, truth is within us, in the brain, behind the eye focus, but its rays activate the entire body. If we could hold our attention in the eye focus, our attention would then be able to grasp the truth. So long as the attention is scattered in the body or out of the body in the world outside, our face is turned away from truth. No matter how much progress, individual or national, we might make in the outside world, we are not a jot nearer the truth. The mind will remain dissatisfied. It will still be feeling the want of something. When the scattered attention will be withdrawn from the outside world to within the body, and then from the body to the eye focus, our connection with the outer world and the body will have been cut off for the time being. Then the attention will be able to grasp the truth, which is vibrating within us, and is self-luminous and audible as sound current. The truth has been within us always. It is present in the teacher as well as in the student. The only difference between the teacher and the student is that the teacher has, by concentrating his attention, established his connection with truth and studied it, while the student is yet disconnected. The teacher is to point out the way and guide, while the student is to work diligently with longing. A boy goes to school. The knowledge was lying dormant in him. Under the guidance of the teacher, he works, develops, and digs up his knowledge from within himself. People spend years in schools and universities to study a limited number of subjects, and even then are picking pebbles on the seashore. You are going to study the self and its relation to the grand truth. You are to isolate the self from the mind and matter, and then trace it to the source of all. It is comparatively a difficult subject. Implicit faith in the guide or teacher, and longing, as of a lover when he is out to meet his beloved, are prerequisites on this path. And where there is a will, there is a way. You are welcome to study this subject. Meats, eggs, and alcoholic drinks are prohibited. 152. I assure you that I do not mean to neglect any of our American satsangis. I think I answered your last letter. It may have gone astray. But in any case, you should write to me every few months and give full account of your progress and ask any questions you may wish to ask. I shall be glad to hear of your inner progress on the path. No doubt you are making some headway, and I am anxious to see you go inside, truly, and find the great light and joy which awaits you there. There is nothing equal to this way, and it gives more real joy and satisfaction than all else in the world. But to get that, you have to go inside. It cannot be realized outside. All the world is seeking it in books, holy places, and association with people, but it has to be found inside. That is gained by steadfast meditation and holding your attention in the eye focus, without wavering. When you learn to do this, the treasure, which is yours already, will come into conscious possession, and you will realize more than you can dream of. Let nothing stop or hinder you. Let no earthly obstacles stand in your way of going inside. Set your mind steadfastly upon that, and make all else subordinate to that, and other things will melt away and leave you free. I am well aware that you have struggles. You have some things within yourself to overcome, and some things outside of yourself which must be surmounted. But you can do it. If you have full confidence in the inner master, He will always help you. And often, when you find the difficulties greatest and the hour darkest, the light will appear and you will see that you are free. Let nothing discourage you. This is no light proposition, but your getting Nam means more than if you had inherited $1 million or many millions. You are one of the lucky sons of Sat Purush, and he has chosen you to get Nam and go with the Master to Sachkhand. You must reach there. Nothing can prevent you. But you can hasten the progress or retard it as you like. Do your utmost now to remove all difficulties within and without yourself, and then sit as many hours as you possibly can. Hold your attention fixed at the focus, not allowing the mind to run away or to waver in the least. If the mind runs away, bring it back instantly and hold it at the focus. By and by, if your attention is steadfast, you will see a blue sky and the stars and suns and moon. And then you will see the great Jyoti, the 1,000-petaled lotus, and the Master's radiant form. You must see these things. Look steadily for them and permit no doubt or question to enter your mind. It is certain. When you have entered the first region, you will get the full benefit of the sound current. It will come to you clear and sweet, and its music will fill you with joy, and that of itself will enable you to overcome all your remaining difficulties and weaknesses. That is the one thing that makes you strong against all foes and makes your victory absolutely certain. With the melodious sounds ringing in your ears, your success is absolutely certain. You must reach the supreme goal in due time. Some reach it sooner, others later, according to their own individual efforts and the karma they have to overcome. But you should not have a long battle. You have already overcome much, and the inner master is always with you, eagerly waiting for your arrival at the gates within, to receive and welcome you. When you meet him inside and talk to him face to face as man to man, then he will always be ready to answer all your questions and to guide you all along the path. He is there now, but you cannot see him until you remove the intervening curtains. But you can easily do that. Go ahead and do it. Great will be your reward. 153. Regarding the hearing of the sound current, it is a matter of steadfast, fixed attention and perfect concentration. When you have attained that, you may be sure you will hear the perfect sound current. The real Shabbat is heard only after reaching Sahansdal Kaval. Before that, you get only a feeble reflection of it. Go on until you hear the perfect bell sound, clear and sweet and most delightful. Only when concentration is perfect will you hear it. Do not be discouraged. The treasure of initiation cannot be wholly taken from the disciple. He can never lose it for all time. It is there, and he will come back to the path in the next life, or as the Master wishes. The Master who gives the initiation must take care of him or her, and must deliver the disciple at last in Sachkhand. A saint usually does not compel his disciples to return to this world for another incarnation. But in some cases, such as the one you refer to, the disciples may be brought back here for another birth, in order to give them a better position on the path. Then they will readily rise above all of this downward pull. Be sure that the Master never wants to leave his disciples, and he never does leave them, even though they may leave him. A wandering child is still the child of his father, and is always loved and taken care of, even though he brings suffering upon himself by his own conduct. We are expecting much from America. The average person in America is much nearer to this teaching than in any portion of Europe. The day will come when your people will turn to Sant Mat. Someday the great work there will assume much larger proportions. You may look confidently for it in your own time. Be ready for it. 154. Answering your question as to the best way to reach and hold the focus, I can only repeat the substance of what you already have been given. You also ask for the method I worked out for myself during my own early experiences. In regard to that, I may say that I never worked out any method for myself. I took instructions from my own guru, and he gave me the exact method. That method is the same as all saints use, which is simply the concentrated attention held firmly at the given center. What else can we say? It is all a matter of unwavering attention. Every ray of attention must be centered there and held there. If one strays away for a time, one has lost the advantage. It may be said safely that if any earnest student should hold his attention fully upon the given center for 3 hours without wavering, he must go inside. But that is not so easy without long practice. However, by and by the mind becomes accustomed to staying in the center. It rebels less and less, and finally yields to the demand to hold to the center. Then your victory is won. Before that, the mind will not remain still for a long time. It jumps around like a monkey. But after a time, it will give in and settle down. It is a matter of will to hold to the center. Also, not to forget nor allow the attention to go off after some other thought or experiences. One easily forgets, and then the mind drops down. A keenly awakened intelligence must hold to the center steadily every moment. If any thought enters the consciousness, jerk the mind back to the center and hold it there. Make the spirit, instead of the mind, the commander of the situation. The mind is tricky and will run out if permitted. Conquer it. But to conquer it is not easy, of course, and it takes time. The problem is not complicated at all. The whole thing is just attention, and then unbroken attention at the eye center, allowing no other thought to intrude itself into the consciousness and lead you away from the center. This was the method by which I won my way inside, and it is the method by which you must win your way. It is the old method of all saints. The reason you nearly reach it, as you say, and then lose it, is because you cannot hold the mind still. It is somewhat like a wild animal which has been accustomed to run about in the forest. When captured, it is in great distress if held still in the hands of the captor. But like that animal, by and by it will yield and obey, if we persist in our efforts. The repetition of the names is to help in holding the mind at the eye center. That is the value of the names. Whatever goes with the names is a thing to hold the thought in the center. If we think intently of a place, during the day but not at the time of bhajan and simran, we form a sort of mental picture of that place, of what is there, of its ruling spirit or power. Then, as we continue, we begin to desire to go toward that center. We must enter it if we persist. All the powers of the spirit, the real Atma in man, gather at the focus by means of this concentrated thought. And then, by means of accumulated force, through bhajan and simran, we break through the curtain and enter the light. You should not try to listen to the sound current at the same time as you repeat the names. Do the repetition first, for about 2/3 of the time set for your meditation period, and then direct your attention to listening for or to the sound. One thing at a time, that is best. 155. If in dreams or while in devotion you come across a fearful sight which causes terror, begin to repeat the 5 holy names, and all fear will vanish at once. Nothing evil can stand before the holy names. About taking meat diet as directed by medical men, my advice is not to take it on any account. It is a great hindrance in our spiritual progress. We are governed by a very severe law of karma. To kill an animal is a heinous offense under natural law, and its punishment is very severe. The saints have strictly forbidden taking any sort of life in any way. As you see lights and have begun to hear the bell sounds, I write down a few instructions for your future guidance. 1. Sometimes during practice, Satan appears in the form of the Master, and in order to mislead the soul, he offers miraculous powers and many worldly blessings. So when you see the Master within you, repeat the 5 holy names in order to see whether it is the Master or Satan. If it is Satan, he will disappear instantly on hearing the holy names. You should never ask anything from the Master except his eternal home. He bestows upon us, without our asking, all that we want and is proper for us. 2. Never pay any attention to any sound on the left. It is always misleading. Always hear the bell sound to the right. The more your attention becomes wrapped in the sound and you take pleasure in it, the more will hidden secrets become known to you. 3. Take care not to disclose to anyone whatever you may see within yourself. The reason is that, in the first place, telling it to other people produces vanity in us. Secondly, it is absurd to disclose such secrets to those who cannot value them. The most important thing you can do is to draw your attention away from all the worldly things and to concentrate it wholly in the sound, forgetting the world and your own self, till you reach the Master's holy feet and attain his eternal home. The Father's home is full of love and light. Try to reach that abode. 156. So far as circumstances allow, a devotee must give time to satsang. Please devote some time daily without fail to sound practice and repetition, as this is the only fruit of our life which we will take with us on leaving this world. Whereas even the kingships of this earth shall have to be abandoned when death overtakes us. Therefore, it is necessary that we should add to our spiritual wealth, which is the only thing to help us at the time of departing. And the only way to increase our spiritual power is by means of sound practice and repetition. The greater our love for holy sound, the greater will be our peace of mind and spiritual progress. As far as possible, we should try to make the focus above the eyes, in the brain, our resting place. Just as a man, weary with the day's work, resorts to his home to take rest, so we habituate our soul on being tired with worldly work to take rest in the holy sound. The attention has to be brought inside, and when it likes to rest there, like the wanderer coming home, it will find peace within. This bringing in of the attention is done by repetition, with the attention at the eye focus. Repetition without fixing the attention is no good. Repetition with attention impresses on your mind the idea of what lies within you and tries to take you to those for whom the names stand. By this process, we are leaving outside objects and perceiving those that lie within. The moment we are within, the sound current is there to take charge of us. The astral form of the Master is at the eye focus and is always ready to do the necessary work or guidance. In this process, the limbs and gradually the entire body below the eyes will become senseless. Breathing will continue normally as in sleep, only the attention, instead of being without, will be within. There will be full consciousness within of internal objects, but unconsciousness so far as the outer world is concerned. Those who complain of sleep at the time of taking exercises usually sit half-heartedly and only as a matter of routine. Tell these people to keep the mind's attention directed toward the eye focus, even during working hours. Work needs attention only momentarily. Most of the time, the mind is off the work anyway. This inner utilization of the attention within will not hinder work. In fact, the work will go on better. 157. I received your 2 letters. They are full of questions and analyses, as you say. I like them. I appreciate the great pains you have taken to study the literature available, also your spirit of inquiry, aiming to clear up doubts and get at the root of things. Limitation of books and book knowledge. Books that matter, as distinguished from trash, are an account of the experiences of persons, reduced to writing for the benefit of others. If anyone wishes to learn, say, chemistry, he studies books on chemistry. Thus he learns something about chemistry. But if he gets instructions directly from a chemist, he obtains a better grasp of the subject. Again, if he sets up a laboratory and begins to experiment, he will gain still better knowledge of the subject. And last of all, if he carries on his experiments under the personal direction of an expert chemist, he will avoid many a pitfall and will in due time become a chemist. Again, one book on chemistry may appeal to one student and may not appeal to another, for the mental makeup of the two may not be the same. One may have his analytical faculty developed, while in the other, the synthetical faculty may predominate. A book, therefore, is not all comprehensive. The author has written it from the angle characteristic of himself, and it will appeal only to persons having a touch of the same qualities. Also, the same book may appeal to a person at one time and may not appeal to him at another time, for man is a variable creature, and his intellect is a variable factor. Again, there is the difficulty of exact expression and of correct understanding. You cannot convey a correct idea of a railway train or a modern motor car to a person familiar with only bullock carts as a means of conveyance. A radio agent without receiving apparatus will carry but little conviction as to the marvels of radio among persons who never before heard of the radio. Even with a radio set at hand, he is likely to be taken as a juggler. So when ideas about material things cannot be conveyed correctly in words, either written or spoken, ideas about non-material things, such as mental and spiritual experiences, cannot possibly be expressed with any degree of clearness and exactitude to persons who never have had any such experiences. Yet, mental and spiritual experiences on the mental and spiritual planes are as real as are the experiences of anyone on the physical plane. A boy who leaves school after learning the 3 R's says, "Knowledge is unlimited." A student who completes the common school course, but who has not yet entered the university, also says, "Knowledge is unlimited." The graduate of the university also says, "Knowledge is unlimited." A university professor who has encompassed the limits of learning afforded by all universities also says, "Knowledge is unlimited." Now, the boy, the student, the graduate, and the professor all use the same expression, but evidently they do not mean the same thing at all. The boy's idea of knowledge is very shallow, while the idea of knowledge as held by the professor is deep, a sea compared to a pond. Books, therefore, convey but little at best, and are often misunderstood. The more critically a beginner examines books, the more discrepancies he finds, and the result is usually confusion of thought. Hence the need for association with a living teacher. Also the need for actual experience of converting theory into fact or individual realization. So books, by their very nature, are imperfect and serve but a limited purpose. Man himself is the perfect book, for all books have come out of him. Inside of him is the Creator with all his creation. The study of books gives second-hand information, while the study of man gives first-hand information. That is, the study of what lies within ourselves. So why not enter within ourselves and see what is there? From books, we are to grasp the central or the basic idea upon which they are based. If you examine books in that spirit, I am not defending all books, and I am sorry to say that the English language is poor in real literature on spiritual subjects. You will find that the central idea of Sant Mat, and of other religions also, is the practice of the sound current. Many different names are used to express the idea. Christ, Muhammad, and Vedic rishis practiced and preached the same. It may be said that they had studied or risen on this current to different heights, but the fundamental idea of all of their teachings is this sound current. The type of the language, or the setting in which this basic idea is given, depends upon the place and the people the masters work among, their customs, the manner of their presentation, and their own intellectual development. And as these customs, manners, and so forth change with time, their books go out of date. Hence the necessity of giving the same principle of the sound current afresh. The message must be kept modern, and so adapted to the times and people to whom it is offered. This current is present in man, all human beings. It is natural in man, not artificial. It can be neither altered nor modified, nor added to nor subtracted from. All else in this world is changeable and changes continually, but not this current. It is an emanation from, or wave of, the great source of all, the supreme Creator, by whatever name you wish to speak of him. Each individual is a spark or a drop of that same infinite source. The Creator is at the top of this current, and the individual soul is at the other end, the current thus acting as the connecting link between them. By that current, the life, even the very existence, of the individual is sustained. The individual feels no touch with it on account of the thick veils of mind and matter which cover it at this end. But it is there, in man and in all forms of creation, in the eye focus whence it permeates the whole body below the eyes, and then goes out from the body through the various sense organs. To catch it, the scattered and scattering attention must be controlled and held in the focus, where connection is established with the astral, the mental, and the spiritual planes. And the same finally merges into its source at the other end. The first essential thing, therefore, is to enter this laboratory within ourselves by bringing our scattered attention inside of the eye focus. This is a slow process, but we are not justified in saying that we cannot do it, or that it is impossible, or that it is useless. Here is a worthy pursuit for the application of our critical and other faculties. If we cannot control and subdue our thoughts arising within us, who else will? It is our job, and we must do it. And we must do it now in this very lifetime while we are men, for man is the highest form of creation. There are many ways of doing this, but from experience, saints find that repetition, called Simran, done in the manner explained at the time of initiation, is the best and most effective way, as well as the simplest way. If thoughts of the material world take us out of the focus, thoughts of the inner world will take us in that direction. When we are inside of the focus, we have disconnected ourselves from the material world and are on the threshold of the astral world. We too have cast off our material frame, and we are of the same stuff as the astral world, and are now in a position to function there. The same attention that was working in the material world is now capable of working in the astral world. And just as we now call this lower world real, we will find the astral world as real or more real than we now find this one. After reaching the astral plane, the same attention, now purified from the material dross, hangs onto the sound current, becomes further purified, and rises on it to reach the spiritual planes. With every inch of ascent inwards and upwards, the soul is casting off the coverings of mind and matter and is awakening from the deep sleep of ages. Needless to say that in this process the soul is not helpless, but it goes in and stays in, and comes out at will. We may look at this matter in another way. The Creator is existence, knowledge, and bliss, or power, wisdom, and love. An atom or a spark of this essence of existence is the soul, which, encased in its coverings of mind and matter, forms the individual man. If the coverings were removed from the individual, the soul would be naked and would be qualified to know its Creator. The individual will know itself, attain self-realization, and will in turn be able to know its Creator. Wrapped in its coverings, the soul merely hears of its source from others or reads about the Creator in books, makes guesses, and draws imaginary pictures to satisfy its intellectual curiosity. It also manufactures creeds. If a lantern were wrapped in a thin muslin cloth, its light would be dimmed. If there is another envelope of thick, coarse cloth over the muslin, the light will be cut off entirely, and the lantern will cease to serve the purpose of a lantern. Man is much like a covered lantern. There is light in him. There is the spark of pure existence, knowledge, and bliss in him. But the envelopes of mind and matter dim his light, and he gropes in darkness. Real existence has degenerated and appears in him as reason, intellect, and instinct. Bliss has degenerated into fleeting experiences of pleasure and pain. Clothed in our dark coverings, we are incapable of understanding our source, and the extent to which we succeed in removing our coverings marks the degree of our capacity to understand our source. These remarks about the books, the Creator, the individual, and the sound current will help us in answering your threefold question. 1. The original home so often referred to whence we came. 2. Why we left that home. 3. Will we ever leave it again? The individual, as he is constituted now, is incapable of understanding what happened or is happening at the source. The saints who come from that end, and have access to that end at will, know what is going on at that end. But by the very nature of things, they are handicapped in trying to convey information to the individual at this end. They attempt, in various ways, to satisfy their audiences. Some are convinced, and some are not. No matter what answer is given to these questions, we can always find fault with it. And even if reason and intellect are satisfied for the time being, the necessity for converting theory into facts of experience and personal realization still remains. But the point is that saints do not wish to satisfy their audiences by empty words. They offer to take the inquirer to the other end and thus give him first-hand knowledge. One beauty of it is that at that end, these questions do not arise. So if the curious questioner would exercise a little patience and faith, most of his questions would be answered automatically as his experiences increase. Suppose a man finds himself at the bottom of a deep well where he is very lonely and uncomfortable. Another man happens to pass that well. He carries a long rope. Finding this man in the well, he lets down his rope and offers to pull the man up, if only he will catch on to the end of the rope. But our man in the well enters into argument with the man above and demands to know just how he came to fall into that well, and what is the guarantee that he may not fall into the well again if he is pulled up. The utmost that the man with the rope can say is that he will take him out of the well and then he can study the situation for himself. But if the man in the well does not take advantage of this opportunity, it only means that his time has not yet come to escape from his imprisonment. Predestination versus free will. A will is free only so long as it has not acted. Once it acts, then that very act becomes binding on it. The second time it acts, it does not act as free will, but as a calculating will, for it carries the experience of the first act with it. And a calculating will is not a free will, but a limited will. The very creations or acts of a free will work as limiting factors upon it and guide it in its future activity. So the more actions one performs, the more his will is guided and thus limited. And this is real predestination. There is thus no antagonism between predestination, fate, karma, and free will. We were free at one time. We acted, and then our acts became binding upon us. They curtailed our initial freedom. They now act upon us as unavoidable fate. Since our experiences have become complex and varied, these experiences now appear in us as joys and fears, hopes and desires, each of which, in its turn, molds or fashions our reason and intellect. Intellect, reason, and feeling, being what they have been fashioned to be, now determine our actions and make us choose the predestined course. Thus, the acts of one life determine the framework of the next life. Like farmers, we are now living on the crop we gathered last, while we are preparing the soil and putting in the seed of the new crop. Although we must undergo our fate, there being no escape from it, yet all is not lost if we use the little freedom we have in such a manner as to lead to our ultimate rescue. We wish this age-long wandering from life to life to come to an end, and so it will if we choose the means of escape. The easiest, the safest, and in fact the only way out is association with the free. Saints are free by virtue of their practice of the sound current, and they come among us with one single mission, that of connecting us with the sound current and so making us free. And this is the only path of spiritual freedom. Facts versus theories. That which may be a fact to one man may not necessarily be a fact to another, and it will not become a fact to him until he has had a similar experience. Facts of Sant Mat are reproducible, like facts of any science, and can be demonstrated in the laboratory of Sant Mat. The laboratory of Sant Mat, as said before, is inside of man. Anybody who enters this laboratory, brings his scattered attention within himself at the eye focus, can see, feel, and realize what the saints say, and he can repeat the experiment as often as he likes. Sant Mat deals with facts only, not with theories or beliefs. It lays down a practical course for its devotees. It is practical through and through, and it can be executed by young or old, male or female, wise or simple-minded, while at the same time they are enjoying the fullness of home life. Life duties. Sant Mat is natural, hence it is rational. It expects its devotees to live a normal life and to do their duties better than others. Sluggards do not make any headway here or elsewhere. Sant Mat creates detachment in attachment, living in the world and yet not of the world. With mind under control, stimulated by a personal knowledge of other and better worlds, the disciple's viewpoint of life and of its duties and responsibilities changes. The life here actually becomes unreal, and its values are assessed accordingly. Things which others lay much stress upon become of little value to the disciple. And often that which others may consider valueless and even foolish may become of more value to the disciple than life itself. This is because he looks down upon life from a higher viewpoint. But this does not mean that anyone may neglect a real duty. Compared with life in the worlds above the eye focus, the life below the eye focus, our present condition, is no better than a dream. If people would go inside the focus and enter the upper worlds, they would become eternally happy. Empty talk would cease. They would contemplate the grand reality. So first you are to control your mind and rise within yourself to the eye focus. And the other man is to do the same within himself. When inside the eye focus, you and he have both cast off the material coverings, and matter is now no longer a hindrance in your study and upward march. Neither is it a hindrance in your communications with each other while you are both above the eye focus. To do this, it is not necessary to leave home or country. Anybody who goes inside of his focus is independent of time and space, and he can, from his own experience, give guidance to another who has not reached so far. He who rises still higher and has access to other and higher worlds is capable of guiding others to those higher worlds. As in all other branches of study, a student who occasionally meets his teacher and converses freely with him has a distinct advantage over one who takes only a correspondence course. The same is the case here in Sant Mat and the development on this path. But the beauty of it is that when you gain access to the inner light and the worlds of light within, the elements of time and distance so completely disappear that you stand face to face with your teacher and master, and he will always remain right there to instruct and to lead you as well as to strengthen you. You need not accept anything which does not appeal to you in books or even in my letters. You may leave aside, for the time being, the ultimate object of life and its how and why. You may start your inquiry from this end, and then take as your objective the attack upon the eye focus. Reach that point as best you can, by this or any other method. Draw up your own plans if you wish. Only make and execute some plan to reach that objective. Bring your plan into action. That is the main thing. And then, if you find it does not work so well, come back to this plan. The main point is to reach the eye focus somehow. You will be dealing with your own attention. If you succeed in holding it inside of the focus, you have won the battle of life. You say in 8 weeks since your initiation you have made no progress. Sant Mat does not fix any time limit. Let us appreciate the situation. Ever since our birth, at which time we left the eye focus and came out of it, and established our connections with this world, we have not gone inside of it. Sometimes, when we have a deep, intricate problem to solve, we close our eyes and try to think by holding all our attention in the eye center. We do it for a short time, but soon run out again because we have acquired the bad habit of always remaining away from the focus. Poets, painters, and musicians receive inspiration from this point. All great thinkers get their ideas clarified here. Whatever scientific progress the world has made, it has all been derived from this source. This focus, back of the eyes, is the fountain of all inspiration which has produced the world's masterpieces. And whatever further progress is to be made in the future, the source of information and inspiration will still be this point. Here is where divinity comes down to meet the struggling man. And what holds us outside this focus? Why does not everybody in the world rush with his utmost ability to enter this magic fountain of inspiration and wisdom? Because our attention has always been and is yet attached to our bodies, to our near relations, to our homes, to our countries, and to our pleasures, sometimes to our pains and sorrows. We have so much identified ourselves with these things that we have lost our identity. Unless now we start detaching ourselves from these outside connections, begin to develop the capacity to switch our attention on and off at will, we can make but little progress on the path. We are to re-establish our identity, to assert our supremacy over our minds and bodies. The mind must be made to work when we wish it to, and to remain motionless when we wish it to do so. We must become able to enter this body when we wish, to function in this world when necessary, and then to go out of it at will when we wish to function in another world. It is the attention which is to go inside and see, and so long as it is running outside, who is to see inside? If the owner of a house sits always outside of his house and complains that he cannot see what is going on inside, his complaint is not justified. This detaching the attention from the external connections is a slow affair. Habits become second nature. It takes time to form new habits, but slow and steady wins the race, and practice makes perfect. Follow your mind for a minute and see what keeps it away from its headquarters. Avoid whatever interferes and accept what helps in reaching your objective. I have already given you the saint's method based on long experience. If anyone is sure that he is on the right path, then if he takes but one step a day, he is still approaching his destination and is sure to get there someday, no matter how distant his destination may be. You will perhaps say, "How am I to know that I am on the right path?" I give you the means of proving it for yourself. Until you have proved it for yourself, you must of necessity accept something on faith. You would have to do the same if you were building a bridge. We have taken as the objective the eye focus. In a way, we experience this daily. We come to this focus every time we pass from the wakeful to the sleep state and return. When we are going to sleep, our attention is drawn towards the eyes, and then the whole body goes senseless. We do not, our attention does not, stay at the eyes, but rapidly the attention passes down to the heart or the navel center and becomes dull there, and we become completely unconscious. When engaged in talk and you become overpowered by sleep, you may have said to your friends, "My eyes are getting heavy. I have sleep in my eyes." You may watch your attention going first to the eyes when you pass from the conscious to the sleep condition. You may study the behavior of a child when he is about to go to sleep or return from the sleep state. A student reading his book when overpowered by sleep struggles to keep his attention in the eyes. Now, if you wish to go inside and prove this truth, fix your attention inside of the focus. Hold it there by force of a determined will. Let the body become senseless, but hold your consciousness at the focus, becoming unconscious of the lower world, but fully conscious of all that is going on at the focus. Then enter the astral world and pass on to still higher regions, enjoying a condition of super-consciousness and great delight. Lucky indeed is he who spends his short life in the Master's company. If a man is a true seeker, he should give himself up to the Satguru and drop all else. It has been said already how the attention of man is attached to all sorts of worldly relationships and things. There is hardly any attention left for the study of self and for seeking God. Look about you. Who has time for all the needs of his own soul? He should take time, but he thinks he cannot. His attention is so monopolized by trifles that he has no time for most vital concerns. A true seeker who gives undivided attention to the things of the spirit is a rare bird. But men follow after that which they love best. A lover cannot be kept separated from his beloved, for he has given himself over to his beloved. His beloved is his life. The quoted passages only point to the ideal. A saint is lucky if he gets 1 or 2 genuine seekers during his whole lifetime. Facts about eating. Everyone may eat as often and as much as is necessary in carrying out the work in which he is engaged. As far as possible, the body is to be kept fit and in perfect health. A lumberman's food is different from that of a soldier, and a soldier's food is different from that of a singer or a philosopher. The same rule applies here. Sant Mat is not a profession, and its devotees need not be set apart in a separate class. They come from and belong to all classes. Sant Mat exercises are to be practiced while one is carrying on his duties, in whatever sphere he may be placed. My own master was a soldier. I have answered most of your questions by giving you the underlying principles. If, however, you have any further doubts, you are free to ask such questions as may occur to you. There is no need to quote passages from books. Put your questions straight away. That will save you time and trouble. 158. One point is not to be overlooked at this time. In America, every man and woman who is initiated is selected by the Satguru under the direction of Satpurush for a definite twofold purpose. First, that the disciple himself may be freed from the bondage of the wheel and taken to his own home in Sachkhand. Second, that he may perform a definite service in laying the foundation and carrying forward the work intended by the Father for Sant Mat in America. There is a very great possibility there, and we hope and expect much from all of you. If anyone selected falls by the wayside and fails to carry out the work intended for him, that is his great loss. He will one day see how much he has lost by his failure. But those of you who remain faithful and go on working to the best of your ability must one day realize how great is the work you have done and how great is the reward which awaits you. It is my wish and hope that each one who is fortunate enough to get Nam in your country may be very useful in the hands of the Supreme in doing this very great work. Keep always love and harmony among yourselves, and allow nothing to sidetrack you. Hold fast to the sound current, and let no fancy scheme of the negative power draw anyone aside. Above all, be faithful to your bhajan and sit with mind fixed upon the center. It is thus you will all get strength enough to withstand every assault of the opposing powers. You will carry on until victory is attained, and thousands in your country see the great light. 159. You write, if there are masters in India and they know the highest truths, why do they not do more to elevate the poor and ignorant masses of their own country? Saints are the treasurers of the wealth of Nam. Their mission is to take souls from this place and see them in Sachkhand. To remove economic poverty and so-called intellectual ignorance is the business of the worldly kings and rulers, or monarchies or democracies. The spiritual uplift is not dependent upon economic nor upon intellectual development. Neither is spiritual development a national affair. It is the affair of the individual. He enters the world alone and goes out alone. The current is present in everyone, irrespective of his financial position or intellectual development, and everyone is free to rise up within himself. The department of the saints is entirely different. The question of rich and poor does not arise, nor is there a question of whether one is ignorant or intellectually developed. The commodity of the saints is Nam, or current. It sells rather dear. The price they demand is body, mind, and property. Few are prepared to buy goods of the saints at this price. Perhaps this requires a little explanation. An individual is a combination of soul, mind, body, and property. So long as mind, body, and property have not been sacrificed, the soul is not free. So long as the soul is not free, it does not enter the pure spiritual zone. When an individual discards attachment to property, it is not difficult for his attention to leave the objects of senses and come back to the center of senses in the body. When the individual discards attachment of the body, his attention is at the eye focus. When he has dissolved the individual mind in triquity, the universal mind, he has discarded the attachment of mind. He is soul now, free from mind and matter in all their phases. The soul is now fit to enter the pure spiritual zone. Saints do not want the property, the body, or the mind of the disciple, but ask him to give up attachment to them, to use his property like an agent and not as a primary, so that if there is a loss, it is the primary that suffers and not the agent. To use his mind with care and not let it wander about. Saints do not take a pie from the disciple. Footnote: pi, paisa, the smallest coin. End footnote. The above is a means to free the disciple from his attachments. I hope you will get at my meaning. Saints know all about the past, present, and future. When you will go within, you will begin to know. The knowledge is within. The current is knowledge, for everything is derived from it. The more you rise on it, the better informed you will be. That will be your first-hand knowledge. But this knowledge is not to be utilized in the shaping of worldly affairs, whether personal or of others. This knowledge is to be utilized for advancement within. If one begins to use the acquired power, the mind naturally turns outward and gets scattered. And not only does further progress stop, but there is an actual setback. This is natural. Saints use no will of their own. They live in Him. They are His servants, not equals or co-sharers. They do not assert themselves against His will. It is bhakti yoga. As His dear children, He gives them everything. You will value the saints when you will go within and see for yourself what the Master does for the disciple, and how through the maze of mind and matter He lifts the soul. You have my full permission to give copies of these letters to whomsoever you think is likely to benefit thereby. There is considerable literature in Gurmukhi, but much more in Hindi. It will be very good indeed if you could learn Hindi or Gurmukhi, Hindi preferably. Both are very much allied. The Gurmukhi script is easier, for there are fewer letters. You may please pick up whatever facilities are available. It is difficult to acquire proficiency in a foreign language, but it will be of great help to you later on when you may choose to render our literature into English. 160. I am much pleased at your inner progress. It shows that you are doing some real bhajan and that your process of mind purification is going on nicely. Keep up the good work you are doing. There is great light ahead. You shall have all the help possible. Please keep one point in mind constantly and urge all satsangis to do the same. I think you should send out this letter to all satsangis so that these points may be impressed again and again upon the minds of all. With love and humility, forget each other's apparent mistakes or faults and make due allowance for differences of opinion. Let no one ever try to establish his own opinion or set his own way against the will of the majority. Love and harmony are vastly more important than the opinion of any one. As Jesus said so long ago, so I now repeat to you, by this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, that ye love one another. He who forgets this law and injects into the satsang the least element of discord is no longer my disciple in spirit and in love. He is simply a disobedient child. All of you have my unstinted love and blessing, and I hope that the law of love shall be your supreme law and your guiding principle. Remember that one man's opinion is of no importance whatsoever when set over against the principle of love and harmony. No matter whether any of you likes anything that is done or not, keep sweet harmony and love, and let the majority govern. You never will make a mistake so long as you keep in mind to act simply as the Master's agent. Then let him take care of all results which may follow. Satsang has more than one meaning. First, it means the meeting of the Master and a disciple. Second, it means the meeting of all satsangis who may attend, whether the Guru is present in body or not. There is no formality about it, none at all. It is a simple meeting of all disciples who can attend. We avoid formality and anything that may have the appearance of a rigid organization. The less organization, the better. And there must be no idea of leadership. The only leader in Sant Mat is the Guru. Just the Master and his disciples meeting together is the only organization we have. 161. Do not set your affection on things of this world, for it is to be dissolved. This world is not durable. What is the value of loving that which must perish? Neither should you give your affections to people of this world. What is the use in loving those who are not going along with us? Indeed, give to all such treatment as times and circumstances require, but give not your affections to them, nor form with them permanent attachment. We should live in relation to this world just as a nurse is related to her charges. If the child she is caring for dies, she has only the concern of looking for another position. It is the mother alone who must weep for her child, but the nurse has no real sorrow. Do not give to the world and the people of the world a value equal to that of your own ideal. Whatever your desire is, there must your residence be. Because our love is all for this world, that is the very reason why we must come back into this world again and again. But if we give our love to the Lord, we attain salvation. The Lord and the world are in the scales, and that side to which you give your love will go down, outweigh the other. The world is to be dissolved, and her people also. When the Gurmukh detaches his love from this world and its people, and has taken the path from the Master, he should give his love to the Lord. If we give to him our true love, then no one can ever bring us back into this world. The friend of this world is the Manmukh, devotee of the mind. For this reason, he is sometimes happy and sometimes filled with grief. Burning with the worldly passions he comes, and burning with them he goes. Having entangled himself in sensual pleasures by following the dictates of his own mind, at the time of death, the messenger of death takes him away. And after examination by the Dharam Rai, king judge, he is placed in hell. This is the fruit of the friendship of this world. But the Gurmukh, having taken the path from the Satguru, attains the Shabad Roop, word form, and for him there is no more coming and going. In this path, there is no difference between the educated and the uneducated. All preference is given to love only. Without this, one is like a parrot, repeating words which mean nothing to him. Life is made better only through love of the Lord and of Nam, and work for them. Only in the spirit does God manifest himself, and does the drop become merged in the ocean. Whoever has not gone inside and attached himself to Nam is a Manmukh, devotee of the mind, of the world. Without Nam, no one can attain peace of mind, though he may read millions of books. Contentment comes only from Nam. By that alone is the curtain of darkness lifted. Nam is universal in the whole world. Nam is of two kinds, Varnatmak and Dunatmak. Varnatmak is that which may be spoken or written. Dunatmak cannot be spoken or written. The latter is the reality of which the former is the symbol. When the spirit is attached to Nam, it draws one toward itself, and the door is opened. Until this happens, no one need think he can get it. 162. Those who form friendship with bad people and regard saints with enmity sink themselves, and their entire families drown with them. Speaking evil of others is the greatest sin, and they who do it are fools. This sin is without relish. The man who indulges in it is on his way to hell, and he gets nothing in return. O mind, whatever actions you perform, you will get that sort of fruit. If you sow wheat, you will get wheat. If barley, you will get barley. If you plant a thorn tree, you will not gather grapes. From wool you will not get silk. The fruit of vice is hell, and a low sort of life only. Even your dreams arise from similar actions of the mind. Talking of Mahapurush, the Supreme Lord, brings ecstasy to the soul. The Guru's sayings and works are of the quality of heavenly nectar. There are fountains of that nectar, and in them there is no selfishness. Fortunate indeed is he who gets it by working hard and devotes himself to it. O men, if there is one of you who says, "I will not work," then bread he cannot eat. Finally, his pralabdha karma maps out his life, and so he is reborn. But whoever works shall of necessity get bread. In him is the true Lord of the whole creation. Seek him and make him manifest in your life. When a man reaches Satpurush, then only is he a saint and master. All that goes before this is only part of the process of getting trained, schooled, and prepared for mastership. And on the way up, the master always retains his own form after he becomes a master. His radiant form becomes more radiant at each stage of his upward progress. But it is always his own form, not that of any deity in the several regions. 163. I was so glad to receive your letter and Christmas card, both reflections of your heart. Goodness is its own reward. The message of the man of Nazareth is the Word, the Creator of all, and by which everything is sustained. It is the life of all. It is within us all in the form of the sound current. The individual soul is its part, and the part knows no rest until it is one with the whole. The essence of the Bible is the Word, and it is for you to catch it and hold on to it. The Master is within, at the eye focus. Below this stage, Kal sometimes appears in the form of the Master, but is distinguishable from him by his narrow forehead and eyes having yellow and red lines. The Master has a broad forehead, and his eyes are bright and shining. The form of Kal disappears when the holy names are repeated. Karma is physical as well as mental. Gross karma is washed out by means of external methods, such as satsang, reading of the holy books, and so forth, as well as by the presence of the Master. Subtle karma is removed by internal sound practice. Try to still the vibrations of the mind, and when it stands collected in the eye center, as instructed, you will pass on to the regions of light. There is no racial karma. Karma is individual. The satisfactory answer to your question is, go inside and see, and if you labor, you will succeed. The path is long, but can be traveled. If you do not travel in your time, that is, in this life, the Master will take charge of you at death and will bring you inward and upward. But then you shall have to remain at the stages within and do the exercises there. As regards your dreams, in the state of sleep, the soul travels upward where it meets with delightful experiences. But when it drops downward, on account of the weight of karma, it experiences dreadful scenes. It is all the result of good or bad karma. As you progress spiritually, these dreams will become less frequent. 164. We are to leave this world one day, and if we are loving, obedient disciples and have made proper preparations in this lifetime, we do not have the transition which we call death. While others weep, the spiritually developed soul departs happy, happier than a bridegroom on his wedding day. The time of death is a critical one in our experience, when our friends and relatives are helpless to render any assistance. But for the followers of Sant Mat, it is the happiest time of all. The Master appears and takes the departing soul with him, and puts it in its upward journey at the place for which it is fit. There is no rendering of accounts with Kal, provided there have been love for and obedience to the Master. The departing soul is happier than it has ever been before. There is absolutely no fear of death. The Master's presence within breaks all worldly connections, and the mind is free to continue the upward journey. Referring to seeing departed ones at the time of death, some souls, when disembodied, remain for a time in the psychic realm, according to their earthly karma, and at the time of death of a disciple, as the spirit is drawn upward, a glimpse of this plane is given. There is no spiritual progress on this plane, of which mediums sometimes catch glimpses, and anyone who has had connection with this plane can see it at the time of death, or get a hurried, fleeting view of friends and relatives who are still on this plane, but not of those who have gone on, nor of those who have reincarnated. As long as there is the I, he does not reveal himself, but when self is gone, he alone remains. It is incorrect that A saw B after the latter's death. It was simply the reflection of A's own mind. When the initiated soul passes out of the body, it immediately ascends upward with the Master, even if it has to take a second birth. In that case, it is stopped at the first stage, not lower than that. It seldom happens that the soul of a follower of Sant Mat is sent back from that place for which it is fit. After it has undergone purification, it is gradually taken up higher. Memory of previous births is generally withheld until the first or second stage is crossed. This is for the reason that old attachments may not revive and hinder progress. But when the second stage is crossed, then the soul is powerful. Mind is subdued, and there is no danger from old memories. Then there is knowledge of all previous births, not only of himself alone, but of all others. 165. Now that you have diverted your mind from the world and given up all aspiration and hopes, except the hope to reach the region of pure spirituality, make a firm determination to gain the Radha Soami region. It is impossible for anyone to hinder you or to call you to render an account of yourself. Such is the law. The devotee should keep his love for the Master active day and night, asleep or awake. When a soul has made its seat in the eye focus, it is always awake and moves ever upward instead of downward, even while the body below the eyes sleeps. To put it briefly, that center or portion of the body is active where, for the moment, the soul is concentrated. When the upper centers are reached, the lower ones are asleep. The whole world is asleep as far as the centers above the eyes are concerned. There are 3 minds, Pindi, Brahmandi, and Nij. Pindi mind works in the body below the eye focus. It has low desires, is outward and downward in its tendencies, and has connection with the senses. The intimacy of the soul with it lowers and debases her. The Brahmandi mind has good desires. It helps in the uplift, has an inward and upward tendency, and works in Brahmand. The Nij mind is as a drop of the second stage, Trikwati, and in it lies the seed of all creation below Trikwati. All 3 of these minds have to be conquered. Initiation is sowing the seed, which needs the water of satsang and concentration for sprouting. Love and faith are necessary for its growth. If an initiated soul fails to get this water and is attracted towards the world, the seed will not become a plant, but it is never destroyed. The weight of karma becomes heavier and obstructs its growth. But when this weight of karma becomes light, someday the seed will begin to sprout. Karma is removed by sound practice. Therefore, every initiated soul should not fail in spiritual practice and should give up worldly pursuits and desires in order to hasten purification. (166) The saints love all creatures. They do not look upon anyone as an enemy. It is our duty to obey the instructions of the Master, and spiritual exercises are his instructions. It is also the direction of the Supreme Father that we should be moral, honest, and laborious in the spiritual practices. And if we do not obey his instructions, we cannot escape the consequences. We must turn from the world and obey with love and faith. His power is unlimited, and he will save us. 167. Regarding the propaganda for increasing the number of members, there is no need for it. Saints have never lectured in the sense in which people lecture at the present time. They hold their satsangs, and everybody is welcome to attend. If you come across a real inquirer and seeker of truth, you may try to explain the principles of Sant Mat as best you can. But the 5 names and the method of practice are to be kept secret. The name, which is the word or the sound current, belongs to the Master. It is his property, and it cannot be grasped without his will. The 5 stages and their presiding deities, in fact, whatever was imparted to you at the time of initiation, is secret. The sound current is in the Master's hands, and he himself will arrange for those whom he thinks fit for his fold. You may say, when discussing the principles of Sant Mat, that as long as the attention is not fixed on the sound current, a man is but a working animal, and he cannot find rest. Rest is beyond the mind, in the sound current, but how to look for it is secret. Our aim is not the propagation of a religious system, nor the accumulation of funds for private or charitable purposes. Our aim is to help earnest seekers of truth, which is present within every one of us. The saints really have only one message to give, and that message they give in the manner which suits the times. Their message is, "Soul, thou hast forgotten thy source. That source is in Sachkhand, and the sound current within you is the way to it, and we guide you to that." Modern Vedanta speaks of 3 centers only, the eyes, the throat, and the heart, and all 3 are pinned below the eye center. Old Vedanta rose higher than the eyes, but only up to Sahansdal Kaval, and seldom reached Trikwati, the stage of Om. The Vedantists do not catch the sound current, but follow the inner light. As long as the bell sound is not caught, the sound current cannot be grasped. Sounds below this are mixed sounds of tattvas, elements. The bell sound is attractive and pulls upward, which is not the case with the lower sounds, and we have to bypass them. 168. Man is the top of creation, and the Master is the top of humanity, for he has broken through the shackles of mind and matter and is one with the universal Lord. By bringing our attention in him, we begin to love him, and he responds, not as ordinary human beings do, but like the looking glass reflecting our own image. The attention is thus withdrawn from worldly affairs and from our relatives. We are cured of the ills of attachment, and the mind comes within and rests in the focus of the eyes. Incarnation of Saints in India. India at the present time is the only country where people are largely vegetarian and shun animal food, and in many ways, following different methods, try to conquer the mind practically. Such people are the raw material for saints to work upon. This is not the case in other countries where the energies are directed outward, as opposed to the inward tendency of the Indians. But it cannot be said that India has always been like this and will continue in this way. In the world of pind and matter, change is the order of the day and will continue to be so. It is not advisable to speak of one's internal experiences to anyone except the Master, and it is positively harmful to speak of them to those who are less developed spiritually than oneself. In revealing secrets, there is the risk of the element of pride coming in, which hinders progress. Strength lies in keeping the secret locked, not in giving it out. Others may benefit, but he who is giving out is the loser. Breathing and meditation. Concentration is to be done without giving any thought to breathing. If you are thinking of breathing, who then is doing the concentration? Do not think of breathing at all. Breathing is going on of its own accord. It is automatic. You do so many other kinds of work during the day, but you never think of breathing. Then why should you think about it when meditating? The mind, which is running loose, is to be brought within. Yogis control breathing in order to conquer the 6 ganglia situated in the body below the eyes. They simply hold the attention within the eyes and withdraw the current from below. Concentration is quite independent of breathing. Let breathing take care of itself, as it is doing all the other times, and direct your attention to the light or darkness in the focus of the eyes. No force of any kind should be applied to keep the spine straight. The trunk of the body should be held straight, in a natural position, so that the breath comes and goes freely. Names are to be repeated mentally and not audibly. The mind is to do the thing, not the tongue. The main thing is to keep to the focus. Repetition is simply to bring the mind in. Mediums. You are quite right in keeping aloof from so-called spiritual mediums, and the thoughts you have expressed about them are also correct. These phenomena are all mental, not spiritual, though they are called spiritual by the ignorant. They employ mind force, not soul force. That which responds to their call is universal mind, Brahmandi Manas. Their action is limited to the lowest planes, where souls still have all their coverings, except the gross physical ones. What power have they to call a soul from the supreme joy of even the spiritual material regions to attend to their worldly questions? And how can they contact a dead relative who, in most cases, has already incarnated in some sort of physical form? These are childish tricks. The messages delivered to, name omitted, are merely nonsensical. Your opinion is quite right. A disciple of a perfect master has no need to go after these spiritualistic mediums when he expects to see these things for himself in due course of time, from pure spiritual vision, and go to planes too high even to be dreamed of by mediums. Kundalini is a force in the ganglia in the body below the eyes. Saints do not deal with such powers. There is no force stronger than the soul force. The saints go by sound, the others by light or sound of the 2nd degree, that is, of the left ear. The 2nd stage lies within the scope of Kal and Maya, and the coverings of all 3 bodies, physical, astral, and causal, cannot be removed until the 3rd stage is reached. Therefore, the souls are not so pure and powerful against temptation while in the lower stages of development, and must come back to earth again and again. In the path of Sant Mat, the soul is cured of all the impurities of Kal and Maya, Brahm, and gains greater strength at every step or stage of the journey, until it reaches the 8th stage and is one with the Supreme Father. Thus the soul need never come back. All other religions end at the second stage. As your concentration at the third eye becomes stronger, many mysteries will be solved for you, and you will get more pleasure from meditation. You will also have 4 flashes of light and knowledge. Solitude brings peace and help in spiritual progress. Many complain of the mind wandering during exercises. The mind feels pleasure in roaming at large and does not like to give up its liberty until it has attained higher joy in exchange for its present pleasures. But constant practice will compel it to give up its former habits. Kal does not brook interference with his work, and your maxim of relieving suffering when it comes your way is the appropriate one. A practitioner related to me that he happened to see a large crowd of ants biting to death a big worm. He took pity on the creature and, freeing it from those tyrants, placed the worm beyond their reach. Afterwards, while taking his exercises, these ants, in subtle form, began to bite his feet, saying they were taking their revenge and it was no business of his to interfere with them. The student you mentioned seems to be somewhat over-anxious in expecting appreciable results from exercises during a short period. The first step is to accustom the mind to give up its wanderings, at least during devotions, so that it may become habituated to collect in the eye center. Until this is accomplished, one cannot expect to have any flash of the subtle regions, which begin from the eyes upward. The person who is sitting in the lower story of a house cannot expect to have a glimpse of the higher stories until he spends time and labor to ascend. However, one need not worry. Everything will come in time. The way seems long and full of difficulties, and were it not for the Father's merciful guidance and protection, which is all-powerful to nullify the snares of Kal and Maya, no one could hope to make any headway. The soul of every true follower is progressing internally, even when he is not aware of the progress. Yes, the soul can enter Brahman when he is unconscious of it. 169. As to transmigration, if you cannot grasp it, give it up for the time being and discard it as groundless. When you go inward and can see the law working within with your own eyes, then you will understand it and grasp it. But just to say a word about it, where lies the difference in the major part of humanity and the animals, except in outward forms? Both eat, sleep, fear, and reproduce alike. The difference in intellect and reason is only in quantity and not in quality. Man's life work is to find his where and whence, and if he has not done that, he will be reborn in the form best suited to his desires. As you sow, so shall you reap. If man does the actions of animals, why should he not go back to the animal form? After undergoing punishment in the lower forms of life for his actions, he was born as a man. And if he does the actions of animals, he will go back again to that level and suffer. Study humanity and its tendencies more closely, and you will not hold to your view so tenaciously. Try to concentrate and rise inwardly, so that you may see for yourself. I am glad to learn that you 3 are happy in the company of one another and look at vital things from the same viewpoint. It is well that you have decided to shift to the country and nature and earn your living from the farm produce instead of passing a busy, nerve-wracking life in the city. These are preliminary steps for leading a life of meditation. Meditation is possible only when mind is at ease. You have undertaken a great responsibility in leading an unmarried life and devoting it to your spiritual development. It is therefore imperative that you always be alert and keep constant watch over your mind. Consider that meditation is your first and foremost work, and keep the mind directed toward the focus of the eyes. I do not wish that your business should suffer or your earning ability be reduced in any way. Work with the body, but use the mind in concentration. A workman on a machine may be attending to his work and singing at the same time. Meditation is the work of mind and soul. The body has nothing to do with it. Mind and soul are free for the entire 24 hours, day and night, and only when one is thinking deeply on a problem does the mind focus inwardly. Otherwise, it is running its race unchecked. Concentration is not a hindrance in carrying on worldly affairs. Satsang is to meditation what a fence is to a crop. Meditation on the form of the Master. I told you to concentrate on the light or darkness in the focus of the eyes, and purposely avoided the mention of concentration on the form of the Master, because you cannot concentrate on a thing you have not seen and of which you have no mental picture. Those who have seen the Master can certainly concentrate on that form. Those who have no opportunity of seeing the physical form of the Master should concentrate on the light or the darkness in the focus of the eyes. Photographic reproductions, though allowed by some to concentrate on, are objectionable because photographs do not represent the original. They act as an extraneous object between you and the Master. 170. I never gave permission to anyone to eat meat in my life. A mother does not administer poison to her own children. In Sant Mat, animal food cannot be allowed under any conditions. It hardens the heart and makes the soul dull and heavy. Those who have been accustomed to mediumistic work must give it up. And if they take pains with the exercises, they will surely give up those practices. The trouble is that they do not attend properly to their devotional exercises, or they would willingly give up both mediumistic practices and animal food. The ideals of Sant Mat are very high and are free from every sort of selfishness and hypocrisy. If these things exist in any mind, then it may be concluded that Sant Mat has not touched it as yet. Those who enjoy the real spiritual pleasures would never care for those other things. He who follows the dictates of his own mind and does not go to the Master for spiritual help causes much loss to himself. At the same time, explain that trance and mediumistic practices must be avoided. 171. It is not difficult for the Master to take a soul upward, but premature uplifting causes harm. Just as fine silk cloth, when spread upon a thorny hedge, is torn to pieces if suddenly pulled away, so the soul, entangled in the thorns of karma, which penetrate every cell in the body, must be gradually purified by the Master's love. By His grace, the soul is freed from these thorns, and the karma is slowly sifted out from every cell in the body. You will get everything you wish, things more wonderful and remarkable than you ever dreamed of. He who has to give you all is sitting inside in the third eye. He is simply waiting for the cleanliness of your mind and is watching your every action. The repetition of the names should be performed with love and faith. Fix your attention in the eye center without putting any pressure on the eyes, and keep in one position, if possible, so that you become unconscious of the body below the eyes, and the attention does not wander from the eye focus. Try to enjoy the exercise. By doing this, you will first behold the star, after it the white light, the sun, and the moon. Then, at the third eye, the form of the Master will become visible to you. As your love increases, this form will begin to talk to you and answer your inquiries. Afterwards, the real sound that has the attracting power will come. The sound which you now hear is mixed with the sounds of the 5 elements, tattvas, and does not have much power of attraction. There is no doubt we are weak and have neither faith nor love, but there is also one hope to sustain us, that he may take pity on us and forgive our sins. We have taken refuge at his holy feet, and deservedly or undeservedly, we are his children. Therefore, it behooves you to perform your devotions every day without fail. Do not engage in discussions with others, but go on pursuing the path while attending to the daily business of life, with peace and precaution. The Master is ever ready to help his children. 172. I am very glad that you and your wife are working together on this path, helping each other and passing on to the supreme region with mutual love. It is my wish that you both may travel toward your goal with still greater zeal and perseverance. Do not let illness dishearten you. Troubles are tokens of the Holy Master's grace and the result of your own past actions. Continue devotion as far as possible under the circumstances. This is the duty of the disciple who no longer cares for the changing scenes of mind and matter. Pain and pleasure, honor and dishonor, poverty and wealth, none of these can influence the attitude of his mind. He does not pray that troubles shall be removed, but rather that his heart be always filled with love and gratitude. As Guru Nanak said, "If you send me hunger, I shall be filled with thy name. If you send me miseries, I shall enjoy them as pleasures. If you grant me happiness, I shall bow to thee in gratitude." Although the above applies to the state of mind of a perfect disciple, you should try your best to attain it. And I am glad that you are laboring to reach this goal. Instead of controlling the senses, the soul is now subject to them, and thus constantly wanders from one object to another without anything to rest upon. In the guise of doing good to others, it deceives itself, and in its ignorance it does not realize that valuable time is thus being lost. A votary marching on the spiritual path will eventually learn that this world, with all its attachments, is nothing but a deception practiced by Kal. Innumerable worlds are worthless compared to one atom of spirituality. First, know thyself, and then preach. It is not proper to teach a thing of which one has no proof or knowledge. When you come across an erring brother, with love and tact, explain his shortcomings to him. If he persists in erring, he will undergo the consequences. Such persons are not pardoned until they repent for their past actions. Attribute their conduct to the fact that they have not yet tasted the sweetness of Shabad. It is not advisable to prevail upon members who have lost interest in Sant Mat. If you see anyone going astray, speak to him very lovingly and remind him of the high mission of human life. And if your words fall on deaf ears, do not feel annoyed or perturbed. It is no fault of his. When the cycle of bad actions has passed away, such souls will revert to goodness of their own accord. 173. You say you are not much encouraged with your meditations. You should devote more time to the practices until thoughts cease and soul and mind collect in the eye center and then go inward. All knowledge is within. As long as the mind wavers, it is not seen, just as one cannot see his reflection in muddy and disturbed water. Our minds are dirty with low and outward desires and are constantly wavering. They are ignorant of what lies within. Concentration is the first step of the soul's inward journey. Repetition of the holy names during one's daily routine work is very useful. One is thinking about a thing within oneself. Therefore, when one sits for devotional practices, the mind is naturally turned in this direction. You are right when you say that the Western mind is trained from the beginning for the material things, and it is very difficult to withdraw it from worldly objects. The power lies in controlling the mind, because mind is the curtain between us and the Supreme Being. When you have controlled the mind and it raises no thought but is lost in the sound current, you will then see spiritually within. As you have such an earnest desire for going within and seeing the Master, rest assured that you will one day succeed. Increase time for devotional exercises. Knowledge is within you. Sound current is the knowledge. Sound current is independent of its surroundings. It stands by itself. It is the essence, and all else sprang from it. Humanity is entangled with matter and does not even study the mind, not to mention the sound current or the spirit behind the mind. On account of man's association with changeable things, he is subject to change, dies, and is reborn. This will continue as long as he does not catch the unchangeable. He must rise on the sound current and reach Sachkhand, the place of perpetual bliss. Do strengthen your faith. Make the mind motionless, and when it becomes motionless, it will begin to see within. For instance, if you shut a boy indoors, the first thing he does is to break the doors and windows, and when he cannot find a way out, he gets tired and sits quietly. He then begins to see what lies in the room. Mind is like the restless boy. It has to be closed in against its will, and when it acquires a taste for the interior, it does not go outside. (174) If one's faith is firm and unshakable, and one daily gives time to the practices, and has no worldly desires, then there is no power which can bring one back to this plane. There is no rebirth for such souls. Birth is for those who die weeping with desires unfulfilled. Desires are the cause of suffering, and he alone is poor who has unfulfilled desires. He who is free from desires is richest. All desires arise in the mind, and when the mind is subdued and is merged in the sound current, the game is won. Soul is enveloped by the mind, and mind by the body. Soul is powerless in the clutches of the mind, and mind is helpless before the senses. A beautiful object attracts it, and sweet music holds it. The soul within is pure, but suffers on account of its association with the mind. While this association lasts, the cycle of change and births will continue, whether the body is material, astral, or causal. The causal form has a longer duration, but is also subject to decay. In Sahansdal Kaval, the soul's connection is with astral forms, and in Triquity, it is with causal forms. When reversion from the causal form takes place, the soul comes to the human form or lower down, depending upon its spiritual status. A child goes to school and attends class. He is entitled to promotion if he has been doing his work regularly and is fit for promotion. On the other hand, if he has been attending the class but does not learn, he will be kept back. Suppose, instead of learning his work, he develops bad habits and consequently loses in efficiency. Surely he will be put back to a lower grade. In the same way, if a man during his lifetime does the actions becoming a man, he will be kept as man in the next birth. If he has attempted to seek the source of his being and has received the instructions from a master, he will be promoted to spiritual regions, and there is no rebirth. But if instead he has done the actions of animals and not of man, he will go back to the class of animals. It is not the karma of this life alone which determines the next birth. I explained in one of my letters that karma is divided into 3 divisions. 1. Kriyaman, fresh actions. 2. Pralabit, past actions which have to be undergone now. 3. Sinchit, the store or reserve stock. During lifetime, pralabit is finished and death ensues. For rebirth, part of Kriyaman of the previous life becomes pralabit in the new life, and the rest of Kriyaman goes to Sinchit. Some old Sinchit is also added to Pralabit, a very complicated affair. But I just wish to show that it is not the actions in this life alone which determine the next birth. There are some people who are not fully acquainted with principles of satsang and who are fond of keeping up external appearances. They complain that though a long time has passed since they were initiated, they have had no spiritual vision, nor gained any spiritual power. Their grievance is unjust. How can these people, who do not labor on the exercises, expect to reach the exalted state, which is the result of long and continuous work? They do not control the mind and senses, nor obey the Satguru's commands. The mind is the most powerful, clever, and cunning of enemies. And to release the spirit from its bondage, it is necessary to break the mind's attachment to alluring material objects, which are not ours, but have been evolved by matter and maya. Be on your guard against its deceits. Do not listen to the mind, but always try to bring it under the rule of the master. The more you look after it, the more you will go in internal practice. This physical body of ours is not enduring, yet the mind has become so accustomed to this form through numerous incarnations that even now, after the Master has graciously revealed to us the secret of the holy name and sound practice, we are reluctant to give up worldly enjoyments and turn inward. 175. You want knowledge. Knowledge lies within you. Sound current is knowledge. The more you study it, the higher you rise and the wiser you become. And this knowledge is complete in Sachkhand. So first, withdraw your attention, bring it inward by repetition. Sit in the eye focus and catch the bell sound, then follow it to the 5th stage. The path may appear long and unattractive to begin with, but there is no other way. God is one, His instructions are one, and they are the sound current. The path lies within you. The sound current is the direct road. The Lord Himself is within you. Only he who has gone within can appreciate and comprehend this. Others have no idea of it. With repetition of the holy names, bring in the scattered mind, and with the help of the Master, ride on the current and reach the home of eternal bliss, beyond the mind and maya. It is given to man, human beings, only to rise upward. In no other form, not even that of angels, is this possible. Man is the top of creation, hence every moment is valuable, and it is the duty of man to utilize it. Only the time spent in this path will count. This is my New Year's message. This New Year's Day, my message is that you give as much time as you can to catch the word and see the man of Nazareth face to face on your way to the shore of eternal peace and bliss.